Hi, today I'd like to show you the defensive and offensive mechanics of Cyclone, which I believe is one of the best skills, if not the best, melee skill in Path of Exile at the moment, because of a number of reasons which I will show you. One of the main things that is good about it is that it provides an extreme amount of survivability. So as you can see here, I'm taking a bit of damage, but this is only level 62. But it gains back instantly. That's because I have Cyclone here linked up with life gain on hit, blood magic, and melee physical faster attacks. And what life gain on hit does is it instantly gives me life as soon as I hit the mobs. And the thing about Cyclone is it spins, and it does 5.7k DPS at the moment, but that's only the tooltip DPS, that's not the real DPS, because as you can see it's quite obvious that it's doing a lot more damage than 5.7k. It's just annihilating these mobs. And so if you're in a large pack and you find your life going down and it's quite low, it's going to almost instantly replenish fully. This build is a bit of a glass cannon because I only have 2.7k life and decent armor because I'm running Hatred and Grace, but as you can see, like, I'm almost taking no damage in these mobs. Another thing is that it'll hit multiple times per attack, so you can move like that and it will actually hit every mob 3 or so times with the 5.7k DPS, which is why it kills them so fast and why life gain on hit works so quickly. And so you can just absolutely melt all these mobs just like this and not even really worry about taking damage. Another thing that is great about its defensiveness is I'll try and find a rare mob here. Okay, here's a rare mob. Now, they die pretty quick here, but what happens with boss mobs and rare mobs is that when you attack them with Cyclone, you can hold your pointer over the mob and your character will move back and forth over the mob. And most bosses, specifically hard-hitting ones like Cole or Brutus, they won't actually be able to hit you because you're constantly moving to either side of them. And so they may do a lot of damage to you when they hit you. It's actually unlikely that they do hit you, even without blind. And optimally, this build would use the Bringer of Rain for the added blind with the attack. And with that, the chances of a boss hitting you while you're constantly cycloning, hitting them 3 times with every attack and moving side to side, constantly having them to change their direction, it's almost none. So that's why at this point in time Cyclone is probably the best melee skill. And you also don't need melee splash or multi-strike to have it in extremely high DPS or real DPS and survivability at the same time. And you can just link it up with blood magic, and even though it has a fairly high mana cost, if you have blood magic on it, then it's next to nothing. And this is only with a 5 link. With a 6 link I could have added fire, and that would add another 1000 or 2000 DPS on the tooltip, which is actually considerably more in game. Now, a problem that Cyclone had when it was first introduced to the game was it would desync a lot, and I think I figured out the desync of Cyclone and how to work around it. For me, maybe it was patched recently. I'm not exactly sure because I didn't see it in the patch notes, but it does not desync very much for me now. If you put multi-strike on it, it will desync a lot. The main thing that causes it to do that is when you're trying to go through a gap, like a doorway or something, using Cyclone. Say this gap here, and then I'll go through it like this, and then there'll be mobs standing in there, in the doorway, and then they won't be taking damage, and you'll wonder why, and all of a sudden you could die, just like that. And what's happening there is that the area of effect from the Cyclone is larger than your character is in the game. And so as you're trying to move through the doorway, the game has to process you going through the doorway and it processes the Cyclone going through. And what it does is it shows you going through, and then it sets you back. So as long as you avoid cycloning through doorways or through small gaps, then you can pretty much get rid of all desync involved with the skill. So this has been a guide on how to optimize Cyclone and how I think it's the best melee skill in the game, and maybe one of the best overall due to its simplicity and just being absolutely excellent.